Good day and welcome to Blindside Sports Talk with me, AB. Yes, today we're going to kick off. As you know, the Rugby World Cup started this past weekend, so we're going to jump right into that. And let me start off with one of the biggest surprises of Rugby World Cup history. Japan they won the Springboks 34 points to 32. Okay, so just to put it in perspective, since the inauguration of the Rugby World Cup in the 1980s, Japan has only won one match. That is against Zimbabwe. This match against the Springboks were the second match that they won in the history of Rugby World Cup. I think the 1995 World Cup, New Zealand won Japan 140 naught. So even though Japan being economically very strong and viable for a lot of international players to go and play their club rugby in Japan, I believe that that nation benefited through the skills and the exposure that these international players brought to Japan, as well as the expertise of top quality international coaches, but in the likes of Eddie Jones, who is currently the Japan international coach. So, just to put things into perspective, South Africa, the Springboks, they're one of the favorite teams to win the tournament. Okay, so this is big deal. All right, let me just take you make you attend on the article online. This is where Skalkberger says that he's one of the Springbok loose forwards. He says we need to write this off and move on as quickly as possible. I'm sure he would want to move on as quickly as possible. The Springbok loose forward Skalkberger fronted up less than 24 hours after the Springboks were on the wrong side of the biggest upset in a Rugby World Cup history in Brighton on Saturday as they arrived at their new team base in Birmingham. Berger said the Boks will need to buckle down in the first training day on Monday ahead of the Samoan clash and sort out exactly why they lost to ensure it doesn't happen again. The first thing to understand is why we lost, why Japan put us under so much pressure. As soon as we understand what the weaknesses are that we were exposed in that game, we can move forward, and that must happen fast. Well, I'm sure it must happen fast because Samoa is waiting on them this weekend, and Samoa is one of the most physical and brutal teams in the world of rugby. Samoa is going to take things to the core. They're going to be, to the limits. They're going to be as brutal and as physical as can come. Not only that, they matched the Springboks in size. Okay, so in size, the Springboks were way more superior than Japan. And some people say they were playing midgets. But it's more the gusto and the character of the Japanese that caused them to outplay them, and that's together with a extremely tactical and a versatile coach. So together with his wealth of experience and his skills of being tactically sound, he coached those guys, and they were spot on with in terms of execution and game management, where the Springboks lacked. So just to take you into the log standings as it is at the moment, in Pool A we've got Wales. They're sitting in the lead there with 5 points. They've got a bonus point victory, as well as England sitting on 5 points. They're in the second position in Pool A. Australia, who is yet to kick off their campaign, is in third, followed by Fiji in Uruguay. In Pool B we've got Samoa in the first spot, Japan in second spot, South Africa in third spot. They got 2 bonus points, one for losing with 7 points or less, and for scoring 4 tries in the process. Then we've got Scotland, and they also they need to start the campaign still. We've got USA, and that's Pool B. In Pool C we've got New Zealand, so they're leading. Georgia, that's another surprise in the tournament. They won Tonga. Georgia is on second position, then followed by Tonga, and then Namibia and Argentina. Argentina lost to the All Blacks after also taking that game to the wire, basically, so to speak. and the All Blacks had to dug out or dig deep to win that game against Argentina. In Pool D, we've got Ireland. They had a bonus point win. France is sitting in second spot, followed by Romania, yet to play, and then Italy and Canada. So things is fairly as it's just about as we expected it in terms of teams sitting on in top spot in all the pools except for Pool B, which is where South Africa falls in. Where Japan is sitting in top, Samoa sitting in top spot, followed by Japan. Let me tell you this: if South Africa gets another lose, or if they lose another game against Samoa, which they still have to play, Scotland, which they still have to play, and the USA, they're gonna be in deep trouble. Samoa is the most competitive game that they still need to play, which is this weekend. Then Scotland have won them twice, two separate occasions, and then USA is going to be another challenge. Although I think they should win that one, although you can't totally say. All right, so things is wide open in Pool B. Pool A, which is was known as the Pool of Death. Pool B, I believe, is now the Pool of Death because every match for all the teams is a it's a must-win game. We've got England, we've got Australia. Any one of those three teams can finish in the top two spots. So that's the Pool of Death. And then we've got the Dark Horse in Fiji in that group as well. They are also a very competitive team, playing with a lot of passion, commitment, and gusto. And they can also upset any big team on any given day. So a lot to look forward to, and yeah, this is just great. It's fantastic for rugby. The fact that Japan won South Africa, it is fantastic. Just to look back into that game again, I think Japan, they were tactically sound, as I mentioned before. The execution was brilliant. I mean, the skill level of those players. If I think back 8 years ago or 2 World Cups ago. They were dismal. I think a lot of credit has to go to Eddie Jones and his coaching staff for the way they upskill those players. They've got a good and a competitive league going on in Japan as well, and certainly not lightweights. I mean, in South Africa, a lot of emphasis, especially by the Springbok coach, is being placed on size and weight and physicality. And in my opinion, their game plan is so predictable. If any team can match them physically, they can outwit them and just add a little bit of tacticality to their game plan, being a little bit unpredictable plan while against the driving moors like Japan did. I think Japan set up a maul once against them, and they sent even their backline players into that maul, and I think at one stage there were 13 players mauling against the bigger and more physical South African forwards, and they scored a try. What an embarrassment for Springbok rugby. I think in terms of Springbok rugby, they are at the lowest that they've ever been in Springbok history, and they have to dig deep and look deep inside them. They have to come up with a whole lot of character and a whole lot of reasons for them to not lose, but to win this game. In fact, they shouldn't play not to lose. They must start playing with a desire to win. They have to start playing with a lot of intent. But I'm almost speaking as if I'm supporting them, and I'm no longer supporting the Springbok, even though I am South African. That is due to the fact that I feel a lot of players of color should have been in that team. Players of color still being disregarded and still being overlooked for whatsoever reason. Certainly not for the lack of abilities, because surely based on abilities, they've been the class players. I'm talking about Elton Jantjies. I'm talking about Lionel Mapue. They've been the class players. Another player is Sia Kolisi, and Sia Kolisi. one of the loose forwards that was selected in the starting lineup, Willem Alberts, got injured in the captain's run the day before the kickoff of the match. He got injured. Siya Kolisi was loose forward cover on the bench. And then Peter Stef de Toy was the lock cover. And Heynecke Meyer promoted Peter Stef de Toy. Nothing against him as a player. He promoted him into the starting lineup. And Siya Kolisi remained on the bench, you know. And what confidence does that give to the player, you know? Certainly when Siya ran out to the field, he was not the same type of player as we know he is. So things like those, little things like that, you know, given the history of South Africa, on another day, I'll go into all of that. We're going to go into that now. It's World Cup time. Let's enjoy the rugby. But a lot of people is certainly very pleased with the loss. Hard to say this, you know, after where we've been in 1995, but you know, things have to change for the better of rugby in South Africa. This is A.B. Williams. Enough said. Looking forward to the upcoming matches and wishing the teams well again. I'll keep in touch and then I'll post again. So please follow my channel and also get in touch with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at @AWill_sports. At @AWill_sports. Hook up with me, follow my blog page, and let's stay in touch. Cheers. Bye.